stayed within our means.
Diner Mike Smith says he could use but doesn't really need stimulus money.
I think seeing maybe, even like $2,000 per month or even more could be, I think, a good thing for some people.
But Bernice says, hold that order.
You got it.
A $2,000 menu item now could lead to a big bill later.
So you think you're going to pay for it later?
I feel like we are.
Yeah.
Nothing is free in this world.
Everybody, huge action is being taken right now by the top lawmakers in Congress. Stimulus payments are coming. Get ready for it. Up to $30,000 in relief can actually be claimed right now. Important details on the new stimulus package have been released. Inflation just continues to cause headaches for many homeowners, and here's what President Biden is saying about this. Since Americans received multiple stimulus checks and funds during the crisis, homeowners are wondering if Congress will actually help more homeowners furthermore. The 30-year mortgage rate has actually reached a new high last week. It led to a greater stagnation in the housing market. The average rate for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage increased to 7% for the week, ending October 27. It is actually the first time it reached this threshold since April 2002. As inflation endures, consumers are seeing higher costs at every turn, causing further dramatic declines in consumer confidence this month. In fact, everybody, many potential home buyers are choosing to wait and see where the housing market will end up, pushing demand and home prices further downward. But experts say that there is a current $1 billion in relief funds that Americans can claim right now. That is through President Biden's Rescue Act, and it's provided up to close to $1 billion, $10 billion to the states through the Homeowner Assistance Fund. Most states have implemented this system, and actually, most states have implemented programs to distribute the funds, and are generally an eligible recipient must make less than 100% of the median income for the entire country. In the state of Illinois, eligible homeowners will soon be able to receive up to $30,000 in relief through an assistance program administered by the Illinois Housing Department Development Authority. In a press release, the organization announced that its Illinois Homeowner Assistance Fund would resume at the beginning of the month. They've approved more than $20.5 million in checks for around 1,800 people through the fund, though the fund has been approved earlier this year. The program is funded through the American Rescue Plan, and the state was allocated around $400 million. Applicants have to be able to prove a financial hardship as a result of the crisis, and they also must own a home in the state as their primary residence and be at least 30 days late on their monthly payments and have a household income of less than 150% of the area median income. The Biden administration is also seizing on huge earnings and calls from oil companies as it seeks to give voters a response to relatively high gas prices ahead of next week's midterms. Joe Biden has repeatedly sought to place blame on the industry for the high prices. It has ramped up its rhetoric in the wake of massive earnings. However, some analysts say that the large parts of the price are set by the global oil market, not by individual companies. Joe Biden said on Twitter, if these companies were taking advantage of profits and average profits on refining, instead of the profits they're making today, gas price will come down around 50%. And last week, ExxonMobil reported a record $20 billion in quarterly earnings, while Chevron and Shell posted some big numbers too. $11 billion and $9 billion. Since that conflict and other factors drove up oil and gas prices, it has caused a profit bonanza. The Biden administration has called on them to use that income to reinvest in new oil and gas production. In his speech on Monday, Biden threatened a higher tax on their excess profits for these gas companies. Now, he said that higher tax on excess profits and unspecified other restrictions if the companies do not increase production. While the windfall tax wouldn't win enough support to pass the 50-50 Senate, Biden's comments represent a significant messaging effort to draw attention to high profits. Biden has also blamed the oil industry and called on companies to drill even more. So now we're waiting on President Biden to send out more stimulus payments. But can he get it done this year? Tell me in the comments down below, everybody.
Today to add $250 billion to the Paycheck Protection Program, loans for small businesses to pay workers late.
I mean jobs between $120,000 and $135,000 a year, and you don't need a college degree to do them. Look, y'all made this possible, and we're just getting started. We're just getting started. We saw extraordinary results in these midterm elections that no one thought possible. More independents voted for Democrats and Republicans in this election. Young people, you voted at historic numbers again, just as you did 2 years ago. Young people voted. to continue addressing the climate crisis, gun violence, personal rights and freedoms, student debt relief, all those things which is stepped up to do. As I said, women in America made their voices heard, man. I said last year that one of the most extraordinary things about the Dobbs decision is what was about to challenge American women when the justice said, let's see, they have it in their power, basically saying, let's see what they're going to do. Well, guess what? Y'all showed up and beat.
Across the country, states are providing stimulus checks since the federal government has failed to act. But the rules for getting this money into your bank account can be more complicated. In fact, unlike the federal checks, which were broadly issued to most Americans, some payments coming from the states have more narrow eligibility rules, and eligible residents may need to take additional steps to claim their money. In one state, for example, payments of up to $1,500 per person will be available soon, but only to those who worked during the heart of the crisis. Those who are entitled to these payments must register, and the deadline to do so is July 22nd. According to local news, the state of Minnesota is offering crisis bonuses to people who worked at the peak of the crisis. A total of $500 million has been allocated, and the money is expected to be distributed by as many as 667,000 crisis workers. This includes meatpacking professionals, janitors, and teachers. The amount each person will receive depends on how many total people register for payment. Lawmakers initially estimated that the funding made available would provide enough to send out $750 payments to each worker if everyone who qualified for the stimulus money signed up to get it. Checks could go as high as $1,500 if sign-ups fall short of what is expected. Approximately 28,000 workers signed up within 3 hours of the registration website being launched, and there is still time for others to register as well. Record high inflation and gas prices have many taxpayers hoping for relief. Gavin Newsom and Democratic leaders agreed on a $17 billion package that includes $9.5 billion in inflation relief funds. Those estimated 23 million California taxpayers will receive between $200 and $1,000 early next year. Millions of Californians will be receiving up to $1,000 as well as part of the new middle-class tax rebate. That's more money in your pocket to help you fill your gas tank and put food on the table. Those with up to $75,000 in income or $150,000 will receive up to $350 per tax filer, plus $350 if they had one or more dependent. Thus, joint filers with at least one independent stand to receive the highest possible sum of $1,000. Those with incomes above that second tier but below another set of thresholds, individuals less than $250,000 may receive $200 per filer. Other states like Maine, New Jersey, and New Mexico have also made efforts to provide direct relief to residents. Moreover, many states are already in talks to implement gas tax holidays, and some have already temporarily suspended those levies. President Biden called for suspending the federal gas tax in his latest bid to curb rising fuel prices, though it stands almost no chance of passage in Congress. Biden asked lawmakers to pass a 3-month pause on the federal 18-cent per gallon levy, casting the proposal as a temporary measure to provide relief to Americans without harming the road building projects the tax traditionally funds.